Hello everyone, my name is Mary Grimes and I'm with American Cruise Lines. Thank you very much to All Travel and to Creative Travel for allowing me to be here today to speak with you. I see that there are still participants joining. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I am going to be talking about American Cruise Lines and who we are, what we do, and how well we do it. So I just wanted to wait a few more minutes for everyone to join us, and then I will start with my presentation. What I'm going to do first is let you know that you are not, well, my sound is not great quality. Can you hear me better? I certainly hope so. Let's just make sure that we can. Okay. What I'm going to do today first is to let you know that when you come on, you are muted and your video is turned off, so all you can see is me. So as this lady friend said in the beginning, and I can read off questions, if you do have a question about the presentation, let's hold them till the end. And if you can't hear me or you can't see, you can go ahead and do your question and answer, which is should be down towards the bottom of your screen. And then I can answer your questions for you. So if you'll bear with me for just a moment, I will set up the presentation and we will move forward. Okay, so I'm hoping everybody can see my screen. Okay, I apologize. I understand that the sound quality is a bit choppy. I'm afraid this is the best I can do right now. So I hope that you will be able to hear me throughout this. My connection is better. So I'll try my best to get through this. I do apologize for the sound quality. Okay. American Cruise Lines is small ship cruising done perfectly. What does that mean? Well, we specialize in small ship cruising because no passenger capacity is higher than 190 people. So what this offers is a really unique opportunity so we can offer exceptional personalized service and to access waterways that the larger ships cannot. So we can put into landings instead of always having to dock somewhere. This allows us to have our guests to experience things that are very unique, especially since we are small and can get into these different areas. Okay. So we do sail 35 different itineraries across the United States. We actually sail from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon. We sail from Jacksonville, Florida to Juneau, Alaska. And there are some people that are surprised that we do sail to Alaska, but yes, we do, and we are sailing this year. We sail the entire Mississippi River from its headwaters just outside of Minneapolis and St. Paul, down to the river delta ending in New Orleans, Louisiana. We also sail the Ohio River. We sail the Cumberland River and also the Hudson River. And as you can see, we do the whole inland passageway down the East Coast. And we also do the Puget Sound, San Juan Islands, and the Columbia and Snake Rivers. So we really cover about 28 different states as we sail through the waterways of the U.S. We'll start with the New England itineraries here and give you an idea of the wealth of itineraries and products that we have. So among the most desired vacation spots really is along the eastern seaboard, especially for those of us that are located here in the West. From the quaint villages of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard up into Portland, Maine, and up into Bar Harbor, really, and along the rugged coast of Maine, this is absolutely a beautiful area. So we have a distinctive 4 to 7 night vacations in the region. We have The main coast and harbors, which if you can see here, operates round trip out of Portland, Maine, up through Bar Harbor, Rockland, and back down to Portland, Maine. We also have the New England Islands. Now this will sail round trip out of Providence, Rhode Island, and goes through here, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, Block Island, all and around this area into these smaller islands. Absolutely beautiful. We do have the Hudson River. So yes, you can do fall foliage with us between New York City and Albany, and some very interesting stops in between. And we do have the Cape Codder. This is brand new, and this would be a round trip out of Boston. So it's really going to do right around the Cape and into this area here. And it's also going to take in some of the beautiful islands here around the Cape Cod. We have a longer itinerary as well. It's called the Grand New England, and it is a round trip out of Boston, and it also does encompass all of the islands down here and then heads up a bit into Maine. So this is absolutely beautiful. So Portland, Maine basically is along the rugged coast, really kind of epitomizes some of New England. And it is an area that really blends the past with the present. Right here, you're looking at a beautiful lighthouse scene that is in Portland. You can see whales from here, and you can just enjoy the stunning beauty. New England, of course, and this is a great scene right here. It's actually outside of Boston. This is the New England Islands, where you can get to Martha's Vineyard, Block Island. And when you go to Block Island, really, you cannot miss Dell's Lemonade, because that is very local to Rhode Island. And then, of course, there's the scenic beauty and 19th century charm of Nantucket with its distinctive gray weathered siding on its buildings. Of course, lobster bakes. This is New England. So we really are going to feed our guests lots of lobster and do the traditional lobster bakes that'll have the corn on the cob and the potatoes and also the oysters and the clams. It's absolutely wonderful. We do a really excellent job with the lobster bakes, enjoyed by all. And then, of course, we have the beauty of the fall foliage. This is in along the Hudson River, and the Hudson River is surrounded by the Catskill Mountains on the west and the Taconic and Berkshire Hills to the east. Along this itinerary, we stop at West Point, Vanderbilt, Mansion, Yonkers, and right around in that area is Sleepy Hollow. And many of you remember the legend of Sleepy Hollow. I visited in that area. It's absolutely beautiful, particularly in the fall. We'll move on now further south into the southeast itineraries. So we offer, right along the East Coast, we offer a range of very unique itineraries and really extraordinarily beautiful waterways. So the European explorers, just as a bit of history, did find sanctuary in the smooth and protected waterways of the Southeast centuries ago. So we offer a number of different itineraries along the Southeast. So as you can see, we basically start in Baltimore and go all the way down the coast. So one of our lovely cruises is Chesapeake Bay, and that is out of Baltimore. We also have a 7-night mid-Atlantic cruise that is between Baltimore here and Charleston. So this is a lovely itinerary along this coast here. We also have the historic South and Golden Islands cruise that departs out of Charleston and goes all the way down into the Jacksonville area, Amelia Island. We also have the Great Rivers of Florida, which is from Jacksonville around the Jacksonville, Amelia Island area, and goes all the way down and does see the beautiful rivers down in here. If you're not familiar with them, the St. John, which is now a national UNESCO historical area, and the Tamalata River, for example, and going down into beautiful St. Augustine. We offer longer cruises as well. If you'd like to stay with us for 2 weeks, we have a Baltimore down into Jacksonville, East Coast inland passage all along the East Coast here. And we also have a 10-night American Revolution, which is round trip out of Baltimore. It's like the Chesapeake Bay, but does include a few more historical stops along the way. Take a look at the Chesapeake Bay. Isn't this absolutely gorgeous? So history and culture, Yorktown, Williamsburg, Jamestown, it's the historic triangle here. So visiting Yorktown, Colonial Williamsburg. If you're a history buff, this is great. All along the Maryland coast, of course, it's Crab Fest time. So we'll do a typical crab boil. Washington, D.C. This is a lovely location as well, and a chance to visit the nation's capital from the Inland Passageway. So walking along the National Mall, seeing the beautiful monuments like the Lincoln Memorial, Vietnam Veterans Memorial, Jefferson Memorial, Martin Luther King Memorial. Stop in and look at Arlington Cemetery. It's absolutely a wonderful place to spend time and to learn about specifically our nation's birth and history. Working our way down to Charleston, South Carolina. The port city of Charleston is known for cobblestone streets, the gaslit lamps, and pastel antebellum homes, such as one that you can see over here. This is where the first shots of the Civil War actually rang out. So the African American heritage has really contributed to the city's history, and we have many tours in this particular area that will talk about the history and show the beauty of this city. If we head a bit further south, as I was talking about, into the Great Rivers, well, here is a gorgeous picture of the manatee. They do migrate into the warm waters of Blue Spring, which is one of the stops, and you can see these beautiful and gentle creatures. Now we're going to head towards the Mississippi River. American Cruise Lines is far more than just paddle wheelers on the Mississippi, although we do have 4 paddle wheelers that sail along the Mississippi. But we do go all the way from Minneapolis-St. Paul area, all the way down the river to New Orleans. We also do 2 very nice itineraries along the Ohio River and the Cumberland River here. So along the Mississippi, we offer a lot of options and beautiful cruises. Starting in the New Orleans area, we have a short cruise called the Highlights of the Mississippi. The Highlights of the Mississippi is 4 nights, and we'll go up as far as Baton Rouge. The round trip New Orleans is a 7-night cruise and goes upriver as far as Memphis, Tennessee. You can also do all of our cruises that you can do them in either direction. So this is known as the Lower Mississippi, which is our most popular cruise. For slightly longer cruises as well, start with the Upper Mississippi, and that would be starting in Minneapolis and going all the way down to St. Louis, or vice versa, going through Mark Twain area all the way down here through Iowa and Missouri and into Illinois. We also have a Mississippi Gateway cruise, and this is between New Orleans and St. Louis. So that is the gateway to the Mississippi here. And for those looking to explore the entire river, well, we can offer that option as well. The Complete Mississippi Cruise and the Grand Heartland. The Complete Mississippi is from New Orleans up to Minneapolis, and the Grand Heartland is back down the other direction. Grand Heartland, 14 days down. Complete Mississippi, 21 days back up. You're against the current. These other cruises that I was talking about here on the Ohio River and the Cumberland River. The Ohio River is a 10-night, and that is between St. Louis and Pittsburgh. The Cumberland River is a 7-night between St. Louis and Nashville. Absolutely beautiful areas to travel through. Here's just a stop along the way on our Upper Mississippi cruise, and this would be Hannibal, Missouri, recognizable to everybody as the home of Mark Twain. Here you can see Mark Twain Boyhood Home and Museum, and this is actually Tom Sawyer's fence. Heading down further into St. Louis, isn't this a gorgeous picture of the gateway to the west in the St. Louis Arch? If you've never been up to the top to see the beautiful surrounding countryside, I highly recommend it. From St. Louis, we'll head over to the Ohio River Valley. Absolutely gorgeous meandering river. And from St. Louis, we'll head all the way up to Pittsburgh. Along the way, stopping in Churchill Downs in Louisville, and looking at the Kentucky Derby Museum and Horse Park. Also, how about the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory? And along the Bourbon Trail, the Jim Beam American Outpost is a museum, and also talks about the history of the distilleries in the area. We're going to come the opposite way now, and we're going to go to the Cumberland River. This is just a beautiful shot. The Cumberland River and the cruise, which starts in St. Louis and ends in Nashville, Tennessee. And this is really a captivating history along the way. Did you know that the river along the way encompasses about 170,000 acres of protected forest? And it includes along the way is the city of Paducah, which was actually founded by William Clark of Lewis and Clark fame. The cruise ends in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, that's Music City, USA. You can take a tour of the Ryman Auditorium and an evening performance at the Grand Ole Opry. We'll move further south now into Memphis, Tennessee, the city of cotton and music and the birthplace of the blues. Here we can visit Beale Street, as you see. Lots and lots of activity, wonderful restaurants, and the opportunity to hear some excellent blues. And here's B.B. King's Club right up here in the corner. Sun Studios, birthplace of rock and roll. And the National Civil Rights Museum is also in Memphis, Tennessee, and worth a visit. Let's sail through Civil War history as we make our way further south down the river. And traveling through the early years of this country, up until about 1860, well, that's when the first shots rang out for the Civil War. You can learn about this because we have onboard experts, and that talks about the rise of the political parties and all of the issues facing the North and the South. Let's have our way down to Vicksburg, Mississippi. This was a pivotal turning point in the Civil War. There was a siege of Vicksburg. It was 47 days long, where the city of Vicksburg basically was just pounded by artillery. You can visit here the Vicksburg National Military Park and learn about the campaign and the siege of Vicksburg. This is great for those of you who are interested in Civil War history. Also, the beautiful tours of the antebellum homes, which are really quite well preserved in the city of Vicksburg. And if it interests you, you can stop in at the Coca-Cola Museum and learn about the history of this popular drink. Oak Alley Plantation on the way down to Louisiana. Oak Alley is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and I took probably dozens of pictures when I was there. It's an antebellum sugarcane homestead, and it's named actually for its most distinguishing feature. As you can see here, 300-year-old live oaks that form a quarter-mile actually pathway. It was a carriageway from the river all the way to the entrance of the home. And the home has been restored to its 19th century grandeur, is absolutely beautiful inside, and really is a look into the past at Southern living. This particular plantation also includes replicas of the outbuildings that were located and used along the property as well. And plus you can stop into one of the little restaurants that is located on property and get a mint julep. Heading into New Orleans, well, here we are at the Mississippi Delta. And this New Orleans, of course, is the chief city of Louisiana and of the Gulf, and the Gulf Coast, really the busiest northern port since the early 1700s. This is where we dock and where one of our main ports, and starting starting points of our Mississippi River cruises is here. Our port is located actually about 10 minutes away from Bourbon Street and from the French Quarter. It's very close. And once you see the Port of New Orleans, it's very, very simple to just get dropped off by Uber and walk straight onto our ships. Here, of course, allow yourself extra time to go and see a jazz performance and definitely to walk the streets of the French Quarter and get a beignet at Café du Monde. From here, we're going to head up to the northwest. From here, we do have a couple of different itineraries, but we have the regions that we sail here in the Puget Sound and the San Juan Islands, and also our second most popular itinerary, which is between Portland, Oregon and Clarkston, Washington. This is the Columbia and Snake River cruise, and Puget Sound and San Juan Islands also very beautiful. So this whole area in here along the Columbia and Snake, we go from wineries and beautiful vegetation and wildlife over here to a much more arid and rocky area along the Snake River into Clarkston. So our most popular cruise is the 7-night, which is a one-way between Portland and Clarkston or the other way. We have a 4-night highlights of the Columbia. This will start from Portland, and that's a round trip here. So you will take in some of the sites here, Mount St. Helens, Multnomah Falls, and Stevenson, and then return to Portland. We actually do have a great Northwest Pioneers cruise, and that is a 10-night. It is the same itinerary here, but it does include a day of sailing and a couple of more stops along the way, and it has a real focus on Lewis and Clark. So if you have an interest in that expedition and would like to follow some of the footsteps of Lewis and Clark, this is the cruise to take. Along the Puget Sound, we have small ships, or intercoastal vessels, which operate out of Seattle, and will do Puget Sound and all into the beautiful San Juan Islands in here. The Grand Puget Sound is actually a longer itinerary and takes in more of the stops here. This is absolutely beautiful area, and wildlife and whales. If you like seeing just kind of the wilderness up in this area, it is definitely a cruise to take. Multnomah Falls. I wanted to show you this because this is something that is really gorgeous and a stop along the way. It's really a highlight of any trip to the Pacific Northwest, and it's the second tallest year-round waterfall in the U.S. Vantage point and a photo op right here is this bridge. If you're wondering what the tallest year-round waterfall is in the U.S., I will tell you it's Yosemite Falls. Sailing through the Columbia River Gorge, absolutely stunning. And when we're sailing through the Columbia River Gorge, which is really, as I was talking about, it has the contrast of rainforest and desert and sea level passage and alpine meadows as we head, if we go to the east into Clarkston or down the other way as well. So this was a region where in the 1800s, Lewis and Clark traveled down the scenic Columbia River Gorge on their journey west, and the Oregon Trail pioneers followed after. So as we sail through here, through the vineyards, through the wineries, some of the best wines produced in the U.S., I believe, are in the Washington and Oregon River valleys. And then we head into Clarkston, and one of the stops along that you can, and a place where we offer a great tour called Echoes of Our Ancestors, is the Nez Perce National Historical Park in Washington, where the Indian guides, Nez Perce, also the name of their tribe in their language is called the Minipu, will actually take you along by boat and show you old encampments, especially talking about the interaction with fur traders, settlers, gold miners, and how they basically saved the Lewis and Clark expedition team from starvation. Puget Sound and the San Juan Islands. Cascade and Olympic Mountains meet right here and form this gorgeous, gorgeous area. And I'll bet that many people didn't know, but there are wonderful tulip fields all around in the Skagit Valley where we actually sail to and visit. We have a theme cruise, which is the Tulip Festival. It's a month-long festival that happens every year. And you have tulip fields as far as the eye can see, which if you've ever been to the Netherlands and seen the Keukenhof fields in Holland, this is very reminiscent of that. This is really a very nice festival, and also we were an export from this area up in Puget Sound. And our last stop, and as far west as we can go, Alaska. And yes, we are sailing Alaska this year and offering a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because we really are the only cruise line that is sailing in Alaska this year, as the larger cruise lines are not able to. And this gives you a hugely unique opportunity to visit Alaska without thousands of people and on a small ship that can get literally into the nooks and crannies all along the Alaskan coast. So we're talking about the Klondike and the Gold Rush, glaciers, and all the beauty of the Southeast Alaska. What itineraries do we have? We have a round trip, which is a 7-night out of Juneau, which basically goes down all around in this way, in this area right here. And we also have a 10-night Alaska Explorers, also out of Juneau. We do an inside passage from Seattle, 14 nights. And it's absolutely beautiful. This year, I believe we're offering one of those. This is a very different year. Imagine seeing all the Alaskan wildlife up close and personal in their natural habitat. We do visit the Tracy Arm and Sawyer Glacier, 15,000-foot high vertical cliffs. We have a naturalist that comes on board and provides narration as we cruise through this fjord. And waterfalls cascading down the side of the cliffs, hearing all about the creation of these. And this is also the area where we have our full-service hot chocolate bar on the sun deck as you're sailing through this beautiful area. Skagway and the train, gateway to the Yukon. And our excursion is the Yukon Gateway Journey, however, in 2020, because it typically touches into Canada, and Canada is closed to us right now. We are basically just doing a round trip out of Skagway along the White Pass and the Yukon route narrow gauge. So we will do a great road tour along the way and of Skagway itself, and just the wonderful and colorful history of the Gold Rush. Glacier Bay, one of the best known areas in Alaska, and definitely one that is probably a highlight of any tour and any visit to Alaska. So snow-capped mountains, glaciers, miles and miles of pristine coastlines. And again, I say, from a small ship perspective, we can get far closer in here than any of the big ships with a similar itinerary. That gives you really a very unique itinerary to see these areas from a much closer perspective. And how do we sail there? Well, we do have a great American fleet. We actually have 12 vessels in our fleet right now, soon to be 13, and they are coastal and river classes. We offer modern riverboats. This is the American Jazz. The American Jazz is starting to sail this year in the Mississippi, and she was built in 2020. We have two other sister ships, the American Harmony, built in 2019, and the American Song, which sails up in the Columbia and Snake rivers, and she was built in 2018. Distinguishing features of these beautiful modern riverboats are a 4-story atrium, that little grand staircase that goes all the way up through the middle of the ship. We also have this unique bow ramp And if you will look carefully, you can see how, when the ramp comes out, we can put into various landings where also our paddle wheelers can go. So this is why we don't have to dock at a traditional dock or port all the time. And this gives us access to different locations along the way. We have beautiful lounges, and every single one of our exterior rooms has a private balcony. None of the rooms on any of our vessels is an interior. They are all exterior, affording a great view. We also have our authentic paddle wheelers. Here's the American Pride that's sailing along through the Columbia and Snake Rivers. We also have 3 others that sail on the along the Mississippi, and also the Queen of the West sails up here in the Columbia and Snake. These riverboats, which are run between 100 passengers and up to about 185, are basically no older than 2012, except for the Queen of the West, which is the only vessel that we did not build from the ground up, and we totally refurbished her in 2011. Some of not all of the rooms on our paddle wheelers have a private balcony. Most do, and those that do not have a large picture window. Also, we have verandas, of course, all along on a paddle wheeler, but we do not have a veranda that is open for access to walk all around the decks. So this is what affords privacy. What also makes us very unique is the small ship coastal cruisers. This is what allows us to go up and down the eastern seaboard, into Alaska, and into the Puget Sound. Notice the design of these vessels. These are smaller vessels, topping out about 175 passengers. And also, most of the rooms do have a private balcony, but they are specially designed to sail on the waterways on either coast. Very, very comfortable vessels. This is the Constellation, as a sister ship called the Constitution. They are the larger ones, and we do have then also the smaller ones, the American Spirit, the American Star, and the Independence, which sail also along in these itineraries and are 100 passengers each. What makes us different? Well, we have a lot of differences. One of the things is we don't have spas, we don't have jacuzzis, we don't have pools, but we do have a putting green on the top deck of each one of our vessels. Our philosophy is simple sophistication. So we're traveling to amazing destinations across the United States. And what we're doing is we're offering all of our guests an elevated cruise experience. So we're exceeding expectations, but we're doing it in a way that is more casual, a casual country club atmosphere. It's more refined, but we don't have formal dinners. We aren't requiring that gentlemen wear jackets when you enter our dining room. But it's all about our curated itineraries and shore excursions. It's about a learning experience. It's about sailing through history and culture. It's about enjoying fine dining, and it's about just enjoying sailing on smooth, safe water within the United States with gracious hospitality that we offer. Imagine sitting on your own private balcony, enjoying room service breakfast and watching the river go by. We have the largest and newest fleet, as I was saying. That means that we have the most spacious staterooms, actually among the largest of any of the cruise lines that are sailing in the U.S. waterways. We have elevator service to all decks. We do have complimentary tours on almost all of our itineraries, and we have additional ones that can be purchased while on board. Complimentary cocktail parties. We have some of the best cuisine that you will experience. And really, one of the best features is all of our gratuities are already included. They are not accepted, and they are not expected. So we're giving you personalized service, gracious hospitality over and above without the expectation of the tip. Here's an example of one of our rooms. And if you'll look here, it's really like a hotel room. Lots of space, full chest of drawers with a writing desk. We have large screen TVs. We have free Wi-Fi as well. Sliding glass door for your private balcony. We also have really a hotel-style bathroom. Much more room and a place to put all of your personal belongings. Also, we have single occupancy staterooms at a single rate. I have stayed in one of our single occupancy staterooms on the American Harmony, and it's amazing how much space you have and how comfortable the bedding is. Also, a balcony. Here's a vantage point from the private balcony. This is one of our modern riverboats. As you can see, it was a glass partition rather than railings. Our cocktail parties will feature signature cocktails. So if we're along the Mississippi River, you might find juleps. They also are, all of our crew are mixologists, really. So it's not unusual to find in the evening strawberry milkshakes done a specific way. And also, then they will have we have premium spirits on board. If you don't have something that you like, then just mention it to the crew and it will be on board the next day. Should you like to pick up some wine, especially along the Columbian Snake River, or stop at along the Bourbon Trail and find something that is unique, we don't have a corkage fee, so we're happy to serve it to you whenever you like. We do have open seating dining, so basically 2.5 hours in the evening, and we encourage everybody to change tables and to make new friends since we are a small ship. And we do have lovely regionally sourced cuisine. What does that mean? Well, basically, we provision at every port that we are stopping in. So we do have the advantage of working with the smaller producers, and we get the freshest ingredients along the way. Gumbos, for example, and etouffees in the lower Mississippi. Lots of salmon and seafood along the Columbian Snake and in the eastern seaboard as well. So it's just really regionally inspired. The food is excellent. We get such great comments and feedback from all of our guests regarding our cuisine. We also have snacks available 24 hours a day. So you can get specialty coffees and teas, sodas and water, and other just little nibbles throughout the day in all of our lounges. We do offer entertainment as well. And it could be from a small band, it could be comedians, it could be singers, musicians, and a lot of these entertainers do come on board at the various ports. So they are local as well. So we don't have big Broadway shows. Our entertainment is more low-key and really top-notch. The other thing that we also have are guest lecturers and experts. So along the Columbian Snake, you'll find naturalists. You'll also find experts in Lewis and Clark, for example. Up in the Puget Sound, you'll find experts in the flora and fauna and in the history of the area. They come on board and they stay on board and talk about all of the area that we are sailing through, the importance of it to the economy and to the history of the United States as well. And this is what makes our cruises very popular and also quite unique. Imagine Mark Twain stopping on board in character on the upper Mississippi and talking about life on the Mississippi from his own perspective. What I'd also like to let you know, which is on top of everybody's mind, are all of the protocols and procedures we have in place because of COVID-19 and to provide for the safety of our guests and for our crew. Some of the, and we have so many protocols in place, but I'm just going to point out some of them to you so that you know what we are doing to welcome our guests on board. We do have independent HVAC, which means we don't have shared ductwork in any of the rooms or any of the lounges, and that minimizes the risk of any kind of airborne illnesses. We do have medical staff on board, either a nurse or an EMT. We are upping our sanitation rounds, and we are providing masks and gloves to all of our guests, and our crew will always be wearing masks and gloves. All of our tour venues are now going to be reduced to very small groups, and so we are providing additional vehicles to accommodate smaller groups, and of course sanitize very, very well in between. In our dining area, I did show you that there was a main dining room. During the COVID-19 protocols that we are observing, we are only operating our dining rooms at 50% capacity, and so we have established different venues for dining throughout the rest of the ship, and it was in our lounges as well, and in some of our smaller midship lounges. So the tables are not turned over. So they are used one time and then sanitized afterwards. We also have pre-arrival and pre-embarkation new protocols and procedures that are in place. So one can expect to, 7 days prior, we'll have a pre-screening questionnaire to be filled out. Once arriving, then temperatures are checked, oxygen levels are checked for any type of symptoms. If you've been abroad within 30 days, you will not be granted access to the ship. So really, we are being very, very careful about who is able to embark using our touchless embarkation and disembarkation systems on board. We also will have isolation rooms, and we have every procedure in place if we need to do any kind of quarantine as well. So really what we're doing is everything we possibly can, and we actually have more protocols and procedures in place than are actually outlined by CDC and by other organizations. So we will take very, very good care of all of our passengers. And so that is my presentation for today. If you have additional questions, please contact a travel advisor at All Travel or at Creative Vacations. And also, I will emphasize, we are sailing to Alaska. If you had to cancel a cruise to Alaska, please join us in July and August. And if you sail with us in July and August and contact your travel advisor to book one of our Alaska cruises, we are offering an exclusive discount of $2,000 per room. So please join us. Thank you very much to All Travel and to Creative Vacations for giving me the opportunity to introduce you to American Cruise Lines today.